All right, this is right up your alley because apparently there is a Bigfoot sighting. Where was this, you said?
Colorado.
Colorado?
Yeah.
Let's watch this clip. So even TMZ commented on it. How did you, when you see stuff like this and you see TMZ comments on it, you're like posers?
Next.
Yeah, right?
So you haven't seen this yet?
I have.
Yeah.
You have? Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Let's watch this.
Let's play it again.
It's an elusive
This could just
creature.
be a guy in a ghillie suit, couldn't it?
I'll share my thoughts on it when we're done. Yeah.
All right, just squat it down.
They're in like a
Let
caravan,
me
I
see your
guess.
camera. I'll do it.
Are those sound effects or are those the people's voices? That's gonna be the people's voices, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how even in this day and age, anytime like a cryptid shows up, the camera quality goes to 144p.
Yeah.
Goes to 144p.
No matter how good the iPhone cameras get.
No, it's what it is. It's like every image of Bigfoot looks like it's a galaxy. It's like a Samsung sending a picture to
Yeah.
an iPhone. Every time somebody takes a picture of Bigfoot, I'm sending you a picture with my galaxy. That's what's going on right now.
I think that was an ad. That's gonna be coming out as an ad for Suave or something like that. That hair was majestic,
yeah.
and I would not be surprised if all of a sudden, like a month from now, is just all part of an ad campaign for a new type of shampoo or something like that. Because that
But
hair,
likely a movie or a TV
maybe,
show.
yeah.
Well, there'd be crew around them if it was a movie or a TV show.
Well, the crew was on the train. You know?
They're filming it with the good cameras, not the phones.
They had a red. They're just filming. And it's like, oh yeah, perfect.
Do you remember when there used to be, Mary, you might be too young to remember this. There used to be like ads for like beef jerky with Sasquatch. You remember those?
Yeah.
Those were great.
I was trying to get them to be a sponsor for my show. No! They wouldn't return my call. You know,
That's too bad. Do they still run ads? Like, what was that? Which company was it? Lynx?
it was Jack Links. I
Jack
think.
Links,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
So like, do they still run those ads?
I'm not sure if they still run those ads and stuff, but they ever came knocking and be like, "No, you rejected me years ago. I am not accepting your money now."
No, man, you gotta bite the bullet. You gotta
Yeah, I would actually. I would
it's
totally.
like Vince McMahon. Like people will like say the meanest stuff about Vince McMahon, but if he can make money off you later, he will bring you back.
For sure.
Doesn't matter. You gotta keep the door open if Jack
Yeah.
Links comes back for you.
Yeah, I would totally accept that. So yeah, but
So what makes this less believable, other than just the costume?
well, no, actually, first of all, the believe it. So what makes it less believable is the fact that it is actually one of the more clear videos that we have of Bigfoot. So, but here's the thing. One, when you zoom in and stuff, it really does look like it could be a costume with somebody having boots on the bottom.
Yeah.
And on top of that, so what I'm telling people, because they're asking me my opinions and how could this be fake because they're on a train, they're going by, how do you plan something like that? The person that, if this is a suit, they literally would have to be somebody that's just bored on a Saturday and they're just like, what am I going to do today? I'm going to go out in the hill in this costume that I have and I'm just going to wait to hear the train coming. When I hear the train coming, I'm going to get up, I'm going to start walking across the hill and I'm going to squat down. And that's literally what we see here.
Is anyone that bored?
I know, honestly, like I generally would say no, but this is the one time where it's not that you're bored and you just are taking a chance that somebody's going to come walking through the woods. Yeah. This is one of those times where it's like you're going to know it's coming and you can have it all planned because you're going to hear the train coming.
Yeah.
And so I really think that this very well could be that kind of scenario.
Have you ever seen the meme where it says like it's like when I found out my neighbor had a trail cam and he puts on his Bigfoot suit and goes and like poses in front of this guy's trail cam so that he can freak them out?
Yeah.
I love that shit.
I mean, and all of my heart wants to say this is real because I want to believe, but I don't.
So Merkle Media has a movie coming out next year called The Sasquologist. I don't know how to say it.
Yeah. Sasquologist.
So this is going to be like a narrative film, not a documentary, right?
Yeah.
Can you tell us much about it?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah. So my head of film and streaming development at Merkle Media, Merkle.media is the website, is Joseph Granda. And he has over 30 years experience in Hollywood. He's been on Broadway. He really knows the industry. And he wrote this whole movie. He made him the main character, so it's done by a great actor. He was in Ace Ventura, so like he's been around the block and stuff, you know? And he wrote this, and it's a very narrative-driven where it's basically he plays a biologist and he's on the trail of Bigfoot. And if you remember the movie, the classic film, 1967 Patterson Gimlin film with that Bigfoot walking across Bluff Creek. Well, the story is that the offspring of that Bigfoot moved east to the Colorado Rockies. And that's where this movie is based out of. And he's a biologist on the trail of these things, trying to track them down. And he comes across this kid who's like the exact opposite of him. He's science and everything, and the kid's what we call woo-woo. He's like, you know, Bigfoot's an interdimensional being. Yeah. And he's like, get lost, kid. And then over time, they basically come together on this hunt. And as they're hunting for this creature, it's very story driven, where it becomes like they're both hurt people and they both have this past, and you see how they come together throughout the movie. And you know, it's not your typical Bigfoot. Most Bigfoot movies are like, oh my God, he lost his other leg to Bigfoot. Oh, there goes his arm. Like it's sort of blood and guts and stuff. This is very narrative driven, story driven, and there's some parts that are hilarious. It's funny. It's a comical movie. And there's other parts that kind of pull at your heartstrings. And I don't know if that's accurate to say or not, but I know that I became a dad for the first time 5 years ago, and ever since then it's been downhill for my emotions, and like things make me cry. Like I might start crying during this broadcast just because, you know. So
fair warning.
So there's been times during that thing I was watching the rough cut because it's not complete yet, but I was like, man, if that has some music, I might cry to that. So
how long is it going to be?
About an hour and a half.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's like the perfect length for a movie.
Yeah,
to me that's the perfect length for a movie. Like what is the Bigfoot like? Can you give an example where you think was the most like real, like seems like the most accurate representation where that could have been like an actual encounter?
An actual encounter? Yeah. Well, I'm gonna say the 1967 footage.
Okay.
And I say that because Bob Gimlin's still alive, and I've had the opportunity to spend time with him and talk with him, and I'm 100% convinced that Bob, if that was a fake footage, Bob had nothing to do with it. Yeah. And to this day, he's in his 90s and he believes it's real.
1967, like, I don't know if you guys know, but technology has improved and gotten much more handheld and like user-friendly. Yeah. Faking footage in 1967 would have been a chore. So,
and here's the problem with that is that they were out there to make a movie. Yeah. And so that's where, you know, the bunkers come out and they're like, you know, they were out there. That's why they had a camera. Like, it wasn't like they had a phone in their pocket.
Exactly.
You know?
It's a different time.
Yeah. And so, and I think even I think they might have even been out there to do a Bigfoot film, right? So Call Me Gullible, right? Were? Yeah, I think so. But I don't remember exactly. But I know they were out there to do a film. And it's just one of those things where over time, there's been so much analyzation on it. In fact, it's the second most viewed video outside the JFK assassination.
Wow.
And yeah, it's huge. And we're actually, I don't know if I can say that yet, so I'm going to pause on that because I have to talk to the brass first. But I'll just say, we're considering. No, we're not doing it. Actually, keep going.
Hold off.
Yeah, I'm going to hold off because I might get in trouble. So yeah, I mean, it was one of those things where you're out there in the environment, you're there to shoot a movie and stuff, if that's the case. But I don't know. There's been a lot of people who've enhanced the footage and, you know, did all the behind the scenes work and try to pull out the image more and stuff. And the more you pull out, the more it seems more conceivable. And given that it was shot in that time, there's been a lot of people over the years that back then were in, you know, Disney making costumes, and they're like, we couldn't make something like this back then. And so there's a lot of things like that come out where you're just like, well, if you have a professional saying I couldn't do this, then where do you go with it as a guy who's a former truck driver now turned podcaster? Like, you know, okay, I take your word for it.
It's funny. And just recently, after watching it, I go, whenever October rolls around, I start a general rewatch of the X-Files, which I love. I love the X-Files, especially those early seasons. And one of the episodes they consider to be a serious clunker from those early seasons was called Jersey Devil, which is essentially, you know, what if Sasquatch was in, you know, off the turnpike in New Jersey on the way to Atlantic City. Yeah. And I love it. I love that, even though like it's so funny because like with a lot of movies and television, I tend to find, especially with TV, I love the episodes that other people don't like a lot of times. And I was rewatching that recently, and it's just really funny how those stories, like even in that's how enduring those stories are. Because that episode came out in 1993, and even then they would have like, it didn't look super accurate when you're watching it on camera back then. That's what I love about it.
I'll tell you, you asked that question, and I have one that comes to my head of footage that isn't really well known. A lot of people don't know much about it, and I call it the Carbondale White Bigfoot.
Okay.
And there's a town, Carbondale, Pennsylvania. It might be the county. might be one or the other. But back in, I think 2008, there was this footage that came out. A guy, the story behind it, we don't know who posted this video to this day. Like, whoever posted this video wasn't looking for our attention, because we don't know. I've tried finding this person, and I used to live in Pennsylvania. I'm like, I'll go to the person. I don't care. But the story is that there was a creature on the property, and he goes out in the woods trying to film this thing, and you hear him breathing heavy, and then he shoots the camera up, and you see this white Bigfoot, which is a legendary thing that from East Ohio across northern Pennsylvania, there's this legend throughout decades of people seeing this white upright walking creature. And he catches it on video, and you actually see it squint, the lips pinch together when it dodges the light, because he shines a light on it, and it just runs off. It's like that's one of the ones that I've personally looked at a lot, maybe because I was originally from Pennsylvania. But the facial movement, I was like, man, because people were like, oh, that's somebody in a hood. I'm like, but the face moved. Like, I don't understand how the face moved.
Well, if Bigfoot is a real creature,
it is, but okay.
Okay, yes. Can you describe what the creature is? So we're getting classifying.
We're getting murky here, because there's a lot of people with a lot of opinions. So there's
murky, not Merkel.
Yeah. So there's the camp, which has been the camp for a long time, which it's an upright walking creature we can't keep up with. People will use the idea of like the silverback gorilla, how like we didn't know it was actually a real creature till like the early 1900s, and it's like we take that for granted, but apparently they're like, that's a myth. So there's people that it's like a physical creature we can't keep up with. There's a limited population, but there is a population. That's how they reproduce. And then there's the opposite end of the perspective, which is they're interdimensional beings coming through portals somewhere. Okay. And then there's like,
where's Alex Jones?
If you want right here. Yeah. So if you want to say middle road, or maybe the third option, which is a government created being, which is interesting because there are stories like, I just moved to East Tennessee, and when I moved down there, I started talking to local farmers. Homesteading's huge there, and I'm starting to become a farmer. And so I'm down there, I'm talking to a local farmer, and he tells me that when he was a kid growing up, the old timers would tell him about how when they were building Oak Ridge, which is known as the secret city, it's where they developed the bomb for World War II. Like, nobody knew that was happening. The locals, they had no idea the government was building a facility there when it was happening. But at that time, the local farmers were saying they all started seeing this upright walking white creature running around the area. And so people will talk about, is the government creating these things to protect high ranking facilities, you know?
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media, and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.